So hello everybody, my name's Simon Pimenta. Today I'm chatting to Ben Bardsley. Hello Ben.
Hi Simon, how you doing?
I'm good, yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Tell everybody where you are in the world.
So I live up in Cumbria, in the Lake District. A beautiful place to live. I'm pretty fortunate to live up here.
Excellent. And tell us a bit about your, briefly your background, what you do, a bit about your interests and hobbies because they're pretty interesting. Yeah, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I work as a vet in Cumbria, and I do a lot of sport in my spare time. A lot of fell running, mountain biking, and I sometimes go on long trips. This winter, I did a long trip in Norway, skiing the length of Norway.
Wow. And how long did that take?
It took me 3.5 months to
Wow.
do that in pretty dire conditions.
Right. That's amazing. So, Ben, we started working together mid-July.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us why you got in touch with me. What was going on in your life? What brought you to that point?
So I'd been pretty tired. I think most of last year, but hadn't really thought much of it. I embarked on this trip starting in December. It was pretty full on. The weather was pretty bad, and towards the end of the trip, I had several instances where I couldn't get out of bed, which was quite full on because I was in the middle of nowhere. I had one period of time where I had 5 days I couldn't get out of bed, and then when I returned from the trip, I was really ill, and I felt absolutely dreadful and was really struggling to get out of bed, and that eventually I realised I was ill, and this is eventually why I got in touch.
So, what did you think was wrong?
So I got back from the trip, and I really struggled to get out of bed even. This went on for several weeks. And I just wondered whether I'd overdone it. But however much rest I took, it didn't make any difference. I eventually went to the doctors, and I didn't know what was wrong to start with, to be fair.
Yeah,
I just didn't
yeah,
know what was up with me. Yeah.
right. And obviously, you're trained as a vet, so you know a lot about medicine and
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
physiology of animals in
Yeah.
particular. But did that give you any insights into your own situation?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I'd had friends who'd had chronic fatigue before, and I understood physiology pretty well. But so I personally came to the conclusion that I had some form of chronic fatigue. I didn't know whether the trip had induced it, or it actually and transpired later that other things had been playing a part as well. But I think it helped. But I had to do quite a lot of research to try and find out what was wrong with me, and what might help.
Yeah, yeah. So you've said that, at one point you could barely get out of bed. What was the low point for you?
Yeah, the low point was those first 4 weeks back from my trip. I felt absolutely dreadful. Just sitting up, if I got out of bed and sat on the side of the bed, I had absolutely no energy, and it felt exhausting just to go to the bathroom or walk to the kitchen.
Right.
And yeah, that was the low point. Just not knowing what was wrong with me, and just each day not feeling any better, just feeling the same, and just wondering what on earth is going on with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was very
Um,
bizarre.
yeah, no, of course. And it's, a lot of people, what you've just shared is going to be very, very familiar with them. And actually at the moment, I'm actually visiting my mum who isn't well. And, I'm actually in what was my bedroom. That,
Yeah,
when I had MECFS, I came and stayed with my parents for
yeah,
a week.
yeah,
And I just remember lying in bed, I think my sister-in-law came to visit, and I couldn't even
yeah,
go downstairs to say hello.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I felt
absolutely.
really,
Yeah,
yeah. I remember feeling really uncomfortable about that, but there was just nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you got in touch with me, you found me via the internet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And actually, before we talk about that, was there anything else you did? You said you rested and that didn't really help. Was there anything
Yeah.
else you did or tried to do to see if that would help you get better?
I know my diet during my trip hadn't been great because I'd had to carry a lot of food for many days at a time. So I made sure my diet was really good. Cut dairy out, took vitamin D supplements, mineral supplements, drank lots of water, didn't drink any alcohol. But it just didn't seem to be enough. It didn't really seem to be making a big difference.
Yeah,
I did come across a video online which explained that the sympathetic nervous system, our fight and flight, might be over engaged a lot of the time, and this made a lot of sense to me. And yeah, it was then that I started trawling through the internet, and when I came across your site, it sounded hopeful, and what you said in your document, the missing link,
yeah, missing
really
piece.
the missing piece, yeah,
Yeah,
it really resonated with me and made a lot of sense. And yeah, it felt like there was some real hope there.
right, excellent.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
and so we started working actually not that long ago,
No,
mid-July.
no.
Um, so what did you find helpful from what we did when you did the building resilience training?
Yeah, yeah. I found it really helpful to understand that often we develop many unuseful skills and behaviours that mean that we are constantly stressing our bodies. And I learned tools to try and cope, and to understand that it's not easy to change our behaviours with respect to situations, but it is possible, and it's all within your own body to actually bring about these changes, which can actually change the way you feel and actually make you better. It sounded odd to start with, but now it makes perfect sense. And yeah, I feel very, very lucky that I managed to work out what was going on quickly and find your website quickly and the help online. You know, I know some people are ill for years and years and years, and I do feel very lucky. And some people out there say, oh, if you got better, you haven't got ME. I mean, it's nonsense. I think you just need the right direction to get well.
Right. Okay. So, and let me just ask you, you said that there were some unhelpful patterns.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you say a little bit about that, a bit more about what that was for you?
Yeah. I think there were various things going on. We can, I think, engage our sympathetic nervous system by having negative internal dialogues, or maybe always being late or rushing, being stressed, having difficult relationships or emotional situations in our life that we haven't dealt with. So there might be underlying issues that you haven't dealt with. And what I found particularly helpful with Simon was that it wasn't just skills to improve the way you dealt with your day-to-day life, but also with his background as a counsellor, he was able to help with, you're able to help with addressing other issues as well, which actually you might not realise but had contributed to illness. So there were things in my life that I hadn't been addressing that were making me ill.
Right. And let's just find out, when you were at your worst, what score would you give for your health out of 10, with 10 being a normal, healthy person?
I would probably give it a 1 out of 10 at my worst. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And what
yeah.
score would you give now?
I would say now I oscillate between an 8 and a 9.5. I'm not doing the sport to anywhere the level that I have in the past, but as a normal person, day to day, I'm really getting there. Yeah, in a relatively short period of time,
Yeah.
just a few months. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
you did tell me when we were working a while back about some of the things you had been doing that you were able to do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Some of the things that I'm able to do now that
Yeah.
I yeah,
Yes.
so now I'm able to get on my bike now for a couple of hours. I'm going down to the lake and paddleboarding. I've been able to meet with friends. At one point I wasn't able to talk to people. I found it exhausting. Any noise at all made me feel ill. And now, yeah, I'm pretty normal and able to function pretty normally. I get up at a normal time. I go to bed at a normal time. I don't sleep during the day. So yeah, I'm able to engage in most activities I normally would. Yeah,
That's fantastic to hear.
yeah.
What would be your top tip to anyone with MECFS?
I think you really need to. There's a lot of information out there that may or may not be helpful, so be very careful. But I think to understand that engaging your sympathetic nervous system too often, that can stop you from getting well. So I think to understand the physiology between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system it's hugely important, and to realize that it's within your control to stop engaging that fight and flight.
Yeah.
Because this is what really struck with me in Simon's training, is that it's methods to um, reduce all sorts of behaviors that actually might mean that you're generating too much stress in your body all the time, and this is creating an environment that keeps you ill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and is there any, with the benefit of hindsight,
Yeah, yeah,
um, looking back on, what's been going on over the last year or so, because you mentioned that
yeah,
maybe the fatigue had been happening before you went on that trip
yeah,
to
yeah,
Norway.
yeah.
Is there any advice you'd give yourself that you a year or two ago that might have helped you sort of avoid getting to that point where you literally were
Yeah, I
struggling to
think
get out of bed?
Yeah, I think if there's issues in your life that are causing you anxiety and stress, um, don't discount them. You might just think that they're things that aren't. Everyone has a bit of anxiety and stress in their lives, but these little things can all build up and eventually create an environment where your body's really unhealthy and really unwell.
Yeah,
Even though you may look okay and sound okay, you're really setting yourself up for disaster. So if there's anything that you can address in your life that's causing any stress or anxiety, deal with them, and don't just procrastinate and leave them there. Sort them out.
yeah,
You'll feel better for it, and yeah, it may help you get well, or it will help you get well, or stop you getting sick in the first place.
yeah,
And certainly that's the big message for myself now, is I don't want to ever be ill like that again. So
yeah,
there's a lot of tools that Simon's taught me that I'll be keeping on using, and make those tools the things that I'm good at.
excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
And you mentioned earlier that you said it might not be easy to make the changes. So let's just focus on that for a moment. Did you have to work hard to make those changes?
yeah,
What's your sense?
yeah, I think part of the training has taught me that we become good at whatever we do. If you're a procrastinator, you get really good at doing that. If you're often late, you get good at doing that. So it is difficult to make these changes, and it takes time, and you have to work at it. But it's really liberating and reduces stress in your life. So yeah, it requires a lot of effort, but you can get there, and the results have been amazing.
Okay, I'm curious as well though. Did you change anything that was easier than you thought that it might be?
Yeah, so there were some issues that I had regarding personal life that needed addressing, that I'd been imagining would be a real stress to sort out. But actually, once I did them, it really didn't take that much effort, and I felt much better for it.
Yeah, yeah, that was my
Yeah,
sense, that there
yeah,
were certain
yeah.
things that you actually shifted really quickly.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there were some
Um,
things that were really easy to deal with, but I thought they were going to be difficult.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I just needed the support from Simon to just address them, and it wasn't difficult and
Well,
made a huge difference.
that's really great to hear, Ben. It's
Yeah,
fantastic to hear that you're doing some of the stuff that you love again. And what are your goals and aspirations for the future?
I think my main goals are to get back to doing the sport at the level that I'd previously enjoyed, but to look forward to some time away. But really just being actually a healthier person all over, in all honesty, with less anxiety and stress in my life. I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent. Well, listen, Ben, thanks very much for just
yeah,
sharing your story, your experience. Um, I'm sure that'll be helpful to other people. So
yeah. No
I'll say
worries.
bye for now.
Cheers, cheers. Bye.